according to the timetable, it is for a time for the Dhamma talk. So to start the Dhamma talk, everyone may consent with 3 times sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Kittavata panabante gotama satchamanubodho hoti. Kittavata satchamanubhujyati satchamanubhujjanam bhavantam gotamam puchamati. Dear Dhamma friends, today is our second day in the retreat, and this is the second talk in this retreat accordingly. So as we agreed that we'll be having a series of Dhamma talks, that is each talk each day, and all of them will be based upon one particular discourse, named the Chanki Sutta, that you find in the Sutta Pitaka, specifically in the middle length saying, number 95, and it's a fairly long discourse, and yesterday we dealt to a certain extent, leaving some part for today. So if I am to give a briefing about the yesterday talk, I thought it will be helpful for the continuation of today's talk. At that time the omniscient one was living in the Kosala Janapada, that is one of the 16th provinces at that time in India. And while he was in a charika, that is a journey, he reached a village known as Opasada. Specifically, he was dwelling in a close by forest, and some of the other villagers at the Opasada came to know, so they came and they started to come and pay respect to the Buddha, the omniscient one. According to the village headman named Chanki came to know, and ultimately he convinced all his village elderly people, most of them were Brahmins, Brahmana caste, and they visit the Buddha. While in the discussion, there was one learned but very young person who wanted to know some from the omniscient one. So while he was questioning, he was just like cutting the other elderly Brahmanas' chance. So the Buddha at the beginning admonished him and later gave him a chance to ask the question. So his question was that they were very devoted people to these Brahmanic teachings, and therefore, but his question was that in their teaching there is one saying, the teaching of the Brahmana tradition is the only truth. All the rest of, besides that, all the others are false. So, omniscient man coming from completely different tradition, getting so much of a reputation and respect. So this younger person who was very versed in this tradition and devoted to his own one, raised this question, "Oh Bhante, if my tradition says that this is the only truth and the others are false, how do you going to censor it, and how you are weighing it?" Then the Buddha asked a question, okay, that your tradition says what you believe, it says that this is the only truth, besides others is wrong. Have you see or found anyone who still claim they have seen this Dhamma, they have experienced this Dhamma? So then the particular person who raised the question, there is no one still claiming that though they preserve the Dhamma with so much of confidence, the faith, but no one is claiming that they have achieved it, they have seen it, they have realized it. Then the Buddha asks, have you seen anyone who claims their teachers have achieved that kind of truth or seen it? No one. And he went on asking the great teachers, and no one reached. So therefore the Buddha says it is like following a line of blind people, file of blind people. The first one who leads even do not see, the middle equally do not see, and the last do not see. Each one believe they are following lineage, but all of them are blind. So under such circumstances, he says it is not wise to take such thing, and then the Buddha make a constructive kind of remark to that particular youngster who raised the question. He says, for a respectful or contented person who claim to preserve their own Dhamma, their own teaching, this is not kind of a good way of preserving. If someone to preserve in a respectful manner, this is not up to the mark. Then luckily that particular young Brahmana, namely the carpenter, raised the question, "Oh Bhante, I respectfully ask you, according to your teaching, what is the way of preservation of Dhamma, Satchanurakkhana?" Then the Buddha, meanwhile he says, I am not only doing with the faith, but our teachers also coming, that is oral tradition also really confirmed, we are with the honor of oral tradition also. Then Buddha make a very philosophically very profound remark. At the beginning you took the honor of your faith and claim that your tradition is so very good, you are very faithful, but I have to tell you, faith has two weak points or loopholes or flaws. So what are these? That whatever you may selected, whatever that philosophy you faithfully selected may not carry the truth. It may be hollow, it may be completely free of truth. Whatever you have rejected as not faithful may be with the truth, may be unmistakably carrying the truth. So therefore, faith itself is not such a sound thing. Then he come out and say, not only the faith, we have this oral tradition. Then the Buddha come out and say, yes, earlier you took the honor of this faith, now you are going to say that oral tradition very strong and very strong lineage. But I know, according to my omniscient knowledge, there are 5 such criterions. All of them have the same flaws, same mistakes, same loopholes. Whatever you selected according to the faith or with your own approval or your desire, your liking, or with the oral tradition, or with rational thinking, or by contemplative acceptance. All the 5 these are the 5 things usually world is taking for honor to make a decision regarding a philosophy, but each and everyone has this same flaws, same mistakes, or same loopholes, as to say even while you faithfully accepted that what is accepted part may not carry the truth. But you have rejected telling this is not my faith, may carry the truth, it may be having the unmistakably the truth. Accordingly, your liking and disliking is going to select what you are going to experience, but there is no assurance that only the part you selected due to your liking is the one carrying the truth. It is one carrying the essence. And what you have rejected instead may carry the real truth unmistakably. And oral tradition also. Even if you argumentally or rationalizing or with debating, if you win and say this is the winning part I am in, But even then, the Buddha says that rational knowledge itself is not good enough to accept, even by just mere winning in the argumenting and rationalizing, will not make assurance that this carries the truth, but the defeated part is not the truth. Instead, the defeated part, rejected part, may carry the truth unmistakably. The last one is this contemplative acceptance. This is the highest in the spiritual ground, in the religious circles. The contemplative acceptance is the highest they can gain. So they can say, I am not just talking with the faith, I am not just talking with my likings, I am not just honored with my oral tradition, not with argumenting, but my contemplative acceptance. Even then, that is being challenged by the Buddha. He says, even if you accept it with your contemplative acceptance, that what you accepted may not be enriched with the truth. It may be just empty vanity, and instead what you have not pondered upon, not contemplated upon, may carry the truth. So that is what the Buddha says. A person make a sound statement telling that I am preserving the Dhamma, these 5 are not enough. So then the Karpatika, the questioner, he luckily asked a question, "Oh Venerable Gautama, I would like to ask a question. If this is being rejected, so what is the way that you recommend to preserve the truth, to preserve the dispensation, preserve the teaching?" Then the Buddha says, you can verily take this faith and make you motivated to practice it, but you must make sure by just having faith, it is not completed. So you must not make a statement and say, this is the part I take as faithful, and therefore this is the part should always carry the truth. What is that rejected as not faithful is not the truth, in the sense this is the truth, besides the balance is false. You must not arrive such a decision, hard and fast decision. As far as you keep the issue open, I would say it is a good criterion for you to preserve the Dhamma, preserve the truth, preserve the dispensation. And it's applied to all the 5 criterion. Namely, the second one is your approval, your desire, your liking. So you can say, this is my liking, not only I am taking the honor of faith, but I have my own liking. I do not due to the blind faith. And even then the Buddha says, it is good, it's good to start with, good to get good motivated, but it is, you must not arrive at a decision to say, this is the truth, besides the balance are false. And if you are not making such a statement and still keep on, that is what the Buddha appreciated as the preservation of Dhamma, preservation of the truth, preservation of the dispensation. The third one is the more oral tradition coming from your teachers and from the books. And even if it is say like that, you can take it to grant, to put into practice. But you must not make a statement telling that my book is the only one carrying the truth, all the others are false. So, as far as you are not making such a bold statement, you are safe. And even if you take rationalize and deduced, that is also a good way, but you must not be quick to make a statement. I want the argument, I rationalize it, I repeatedly test it, and therefore that must carry the truth, not the others. You must not take such a statement. You must say, yes, this is rationally proved, but it's not yet up to the state to say this is the truth, balance is the form. and even if you contemplatively accept it, that is also you must keep the issue open. So this is how the preservation of the truth happens. But then remarkably, the Buddha make a statement, but even then I don't claim that you have discovered the very truth that you are preserving. So that an open invitation. So the Kapatika, the questioner, he is asking the particular question, okay, dear Venerable Gautama, I am asking you then, what is the way to discover the very preserved Dhamma, and how one can discover? I am asking you, please let me know how to discover the Dhamma. So this is what we are going to deal with today in the Dhamma talk, the preservation, the discovery of the very thing that you are preserving. So this is quite a serious problem in traditional religions, because everyone in the traditions, specifically the accepted denominations, they are heavily based their honor on the faith, and the individual, those who are following, they are taken with their likings or their approval, and they are who are very good oral tradition, each and everyone, and keep on arguing and rationalizing, and then try to take the honor of the upper hand in the rationalizing and the contemplative thinking. But if someone is really serious and try to discover it, it is a great leap from the academic level or from the philosophic level, and how to apply oneself and to get the taste of Dhamma. So in a country like Sri Lanka, where we are basically brought up, and there was historically, this was a very remarkable time, specifically from 1950s to 1950 to 2000, there was a huge upheaval, change and attitudes towards the Buddhism itself, or I would say the meditation as a specific subject. So when I am trying in 1979-80, everyone was talking and everyone was busy with the preservation of the sasana, the preservation of the truth and the preservation of the dispensation. But there was a common acceptance that nowadays it is impossible to experience it. That was the general outlook in the Buddhist society in Sri Lanka. And luckily there were some Westerners came and they have done social surveys to see what kind of a change is taking place in Sri Lanka with respect to the active Buddhism or living Buddhism. And recently it happened me to read a book. It says they can boil down to 5 particular reasons as far as the development or improvements in the Buddhism in Sri Lanka, specifically after the Buddha Jayanti, that means after 1956. The first one, they have gathered from their social surveys before, that means soon after the 1950s, there was a common sense telling nowadays there are no enlightened beings, there are no people, those who have achieved any kind of Dhamma, so therefore it is useless to practice it. But from the foreigner's point of view, they have come to know nowadays there is a fair amount of proportion is trying hard, practicing hard, thinking it is not an impossibility. So that is the remarkable change in the society in Sri Lanka, being a traditional country. So that I also witness it, because when we are learning our classes in the Buddhism classes in the schools, it was a common sense to say that it is a traditional and historical religion, but nowadays it is impossible to put into practice. So no one is asking in this very life kind of a concept. Everyone says you have to get pass marks or credit or distinction in the Buddhism as a subject, and when you go to the university you may try for a diploma or for a BS or for a PhD. That's all the Buddhism means. And meanwhile there were little kind of a movement, so that what will happen if someone put into practice and see, and there were kind of good results. That is why these social survey techniques the people did and come and say within these 50 years that idea changed. That means that there are some proportionate amount of population that they take it as something to live with, something to put into practice. The second remark they have mentioned is earlier there was a notion that to practice meditation or practice mindfulness, one must understand the whole Tipitaka. That means all the three baskets, you must be well versed about Tipitaka, otherwise you can't put it to practice. So therefore still it became a block, because it is not an easy task to understand the whole theory before putting to practice. But now in this new evolution, new changes, that also been negated and rejected. It says not necessary to have complete theory understanding for the practice. The third aspect was, before, if you wish to practice, you must be a monk, you must go to a forest, and it is none of the business of lay people. So therefore lay people was just to support the sasana, be generous and help, and they are not meant for practice. And now it has been completely changed. Now if you go to a meditation center, a majority are lay people, and they are earnestly and with enthusiasm they practice. So it is also a new thing to the Buddhism in general, not only in Sri Lanka. According to my little understanding, even in Burma, even in the Thailand, that is the situation. It is now not being confirmed only to the ordained monks and others. Instead, what to do is proportionately majority are lay people. The third aspect is if you are practicing Buddhism in the sense of generosity or administering precepts and be restrain your virtue as far as virtues are concerned, and even if you are practicing some kind of concentration meditation, it is for your next life, not in this very life. So therefore it is an accumulation of merits or perfection of your paramis. That is the maximum you can do. So that is also being now challenged, and it says it is not so. If you are practicing with a good teacher, with the proper instructions, you can understand, you can realize, or you can discover the Dhamma here and now. The last one says that yes, you can do little practice but not Vipassana. It is not time for the Vipassana, because Vipassana is a kind of a thing. You have to be a monk, you must be fulfilled with all the Tipitaka, and you must be fulfilled with all the paramis, and nowadays there are no people to give instructions, therefore not possible. So specifically these people with heavy idea about the virtues and other kind of, they told lay people and normal people can't even try this. And there are a lot of censoring, telling that it is not a joke for everyone to practice Vipassana, but that also being gone. So I am taking this historical ground to say how lucky we are that even though this dialogue is going on between the Buddha and the Hinduistic believer, now what happened to Buddhism itself, within the Buddhism, this kind of, we are limited only to the preservation of the truth, not the discovery of the truth. So we are in that generation where we were just challenging and going forward, not to be happy with just preservation, we are going to this discovery of the truth. But as though the social surveys and techniques are going to say there is a big change, big trend and big evolution, this is quite a task. Because if you go and read this Chanki Sutta, the Buddha gave a very full syllabus as to how one can go forward from the preservation of truth to the discovery of the truth. So I am not going to undermine the value of these stages by just indicating this, the trends, what is happening in Sri Lanka. So therefore, this particular sutta, if you are taking and studying very seriously, not only that going to get the full syllabus, if you have any mistakes or something that has lapsed, you can come to know and you can correct it. So therefore, this section is revolutionary. It is like a transitional part in this particular sutta. And there, the Buddha says, as an answer to the Kapataka, or I will, then that is the story goes, we say there was a particular monk, meditating monk associating a village or a forest, and one of the villager or villager's son go to that monk and he scrutinized as to see whether that particular monk is having the characters of desire, whether he is obsessed with desire, and with that obsession he is going to say that I have seen, that I have discovered, though he has not really discovered. Without discovery, without seeing, he is claiming in a fake way, yes, I have seen, I have discovered. As to what, one has to be very careful. And not only that, he is going to give instructions to the others that may lead to troubles, not to the realization. And for that, one has to be very careful about the desire, one of the main defilement in one's character. So before you take the refuge, take the faith, place the faith, you have to check it whether that particular person who is preaching and who is you are going to take it as a teacher, whether he is having kind of a characters, obsessions like desire. If it is not so, then you are better off. The second criterion is the hatred, and that is also one has to observe carefully the particular person that you are going to take it as your role model or a teacher or instructor must not be obsessed with the hatred. With that hatred, obsessed mind, if he is claiming as seen on what he has not seen, and he is going to claim that I have realized and I have experienced on something what he has not realized and experienced, that one has to take care. And not only that, he is giving instructions or with the obsessed mind of hatred leading to mistakes and of many and for the future. So with these kind of observation, you have to associate the person as the second criterion, the hatred. The third one is the delusion. Obsessive delusion, whether he is claiming what he has not achieved, whether he is claiming what he has not seen, as I have achieved, I have seen. As well as he is going to give instructions, responsible, and therefore it is leading to mistakes. If it is not so, you have to associate such a person. And that is the first and foremost as far as the discovery of the truth is concerned. Regarding this one, this particular case, the virtues of the teacher, virtues of the instructor that you are going to associate is quite important issue, quite an decisive issue. So nowadays, in the Buddhism, many are reading books, listening to cassettes, and getting from the CDs and kind of thing, and they hardly have any chance to see the teacher and check the teacher, check the instructor whether he is up to what he is talking about. So that is one of the heavy questionable area in present day Buddhism. And specifically a country like here, and if you are going to make a hard and solid fact that you have to go through your teacher and check, I think it may be quite an impossibility. Therefore, namely, if I have to mention, I listened to Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi's cassette on the Chanki Sutta. He said that is one very big vulnerable area in the present day popular Buddhism. People take into grant by just mere good oratory talks, by properly presented books, and by the advertisements, so they get attracted into that. They are not worrying and taking chance or time as to see whether the person who they are following having basic these characters, that is to say, they are free from the desire, free from hatred, and free from the delusion, ignorance. So without doing that, they are other way around, they are chasing behind quick results, result-oriented meditation practice based basically on healing and cure rather than the prevention. So therefore, even though the Buddhism, the present day popular Buddhism, Buddhist practice, or specifically meditation, is widespreading, but are we on the safe ground? When we are stepping from the preservation stage to the discovery stage, there are many stories on failures and complications, repercussions. So, as I mentioned, the 5 factors, if someone has to wait and see, understand the whole of the Tripitaka, and wait and see to see the perfect person to come and preach and kind of thing, as I mentioned before 1950s, it will be an impossibility. And instead, if you are going to take anyone into grant, and any book, any talk and kind of thing without checking the teacher, that is the upper extreme. So we are in between. That is the practical thing. So we have to, at the start, as the Buddha mentioned in this preservation area, he says, you can at the beginning be faithful about what is available, but you must always keep it open. This particular person, this particular teaching, this particular book, this particular talk is good, but it is the only truth. Others are wrong. That is the point you are missing the bus. That you have to keep it open. That is the way you have to draw the line and come find the balance in between the 2 extremes. So therefore, it is an individual responsibility. Whatever may be, as a person, I would say we are better off. We have now better chances, so that we must not rush and say, he is the person, this is the Dhamma, this is the technique, this is the meditation center, this is the way. You must not try to, you must not be quick to make a decision. And keeping that issue, if you keep on practice, that the middle way, the non-frictional path that the Buddha is prescribing is becoming very vivid. It becomes very living Dhamma. So therefore, the person who select as your teacher or instructor or your role model must not simply due to your faith, must not simply due to your approval or desire or your liking, must not simply due to the oral tradition, must not be simply due to the rationalization or the argumentation, or but by contemplative acceptance. But besides these 5, we have no other criterion. So best thing is take them under the circumstances, without a hard and fast decision, this is the truth, besides it's wrong. So that is how each one of us has to take the responsibility when we are selecting a teacher, when we are selecting a technique, when we are selecting a place, and all the kind. So if it is so, it won't make any kind of blockages. It is keep the issue open. Then only you are, we can say, in the middle path. Otherwise, if you are going to say this teacher, this method, this teaching, this argumentation and kind of thing is the only one that indicates your bias, you have taken for extremes, and there's a danger. So when we are teaching to someone or preaching to someone or instructing someone or sharing someone, there also we have to keep the issue open. And whenever the difficulty happens, when we are internally rationalizing, that also we must keep the issue open. That is the beauty of the teaching of the Buddha. Even from the Buddhist point of view, he is the genius, he is the omniscient, and he can easily say, I am the truth, rest is the wrong, but he never takes such a chance, because he gives the charter of free thinking for everyone. That itself is a relief, that itself is a sign of liberation. So moment you step into this discovery of truth, if you understand this kind of a middle path, corrective, it's a huge release. Otherwise what happened is, if you are going to campaign telling this is the teacher, this is the teaching, this is the technique kind of thing, ultimately you will end up with more tension, with more frustration, more commitment, and you will be committed, and ultimately it will be another burden for you. So therefore keep it that open is not sending it vulnerable. So it's a good challenge. The Buddha says, before you go into the stage of discovery of the truth, you have to have a role model. You have to have a noble friend. You have to have a instructor and the teacher. On that you have to take care. And you can find number of other particular discourses where the Buddha, here he summarized to the three facts, as to see his desire, see his hatred, and see his ignorance. If it is such a case, and it is questionable. There are other number of particular discourses as to how to select a good teacher, how to select a good friend, how to select a good noble associates, and they are more, as and when you go forward, your insight or your mindfulness and your scrutiny must never be closed. It must be ever open. And yet another aspect I would like to add in this moment, this juncture, because that present day, ethically, we can easily say world ethical values are deteriorating from generation to generation. So therefore everyone will easily come and say nowadays very difficult to find spiritual teachers or noble friends, because at large the society is deteriorating. This is, I would say, a decision or statement made out of hatred. If you have the self-love, if you have the concept of loving kindness in deep, you can't make such a statement, because if you are a bad friend, you can't get good friends. First of all, you have to be friendly with yourself. You have to sympathize yourself. You have to accept yourself. Then only you can be a good person. Then only you can expect other good people in your vicinity. So therefore, if you are kind of a person who always says, nowadays it is the world is free of good people, values are going down, it's a good indication that your thinking is too much based on heavy criticism and the hatred. Instead, if you are developed loving kindness, to try to be friendly with yourself, you will find more than what you expect good people in your vicinity. So therefore, easily you can't rule it out and say, now everything is deteriorating, very difficult. But even if you find a single person under such deprived situation, you will appreciate double than the normal circumstances. So before rushing to a decision and say nowadays very difficult to get at the teachers and association, therefore it's an impossibility, try to be friendly with yourself. It is not inside meditation, it is definitely concentration meditation, but it makes more opportunities and possibilities. So in that respect, even though it is not in the Chanki Sutta, I would like to relate that I read one book. It's a novel written in America. It has become a bestseller in 1911 or something like that, known as Pollyanna. Some call it a Pollyanna. And it says about, it's a very nicely it communicates about this concept of loving kindness. It says, you must try to find a reason to be glad under any circumstances. That must be your thing. Instead, what happens is, our mind is so smart to find a reason to be unhappy, reason to be critical, reason to be see the bad side of the society. Instead, if you are developing the idea of or habit of trying and finding a reason to be glad, anywhere and everywhere you have good reasons. That is a good game. That book says it's a glad game. So once you develop that kind of thing, you find that there are some good people around you more than you are thinking. So therefore don't confine and say only with the scrutiny and rationalization the world is deteriorating. Instead, if you become friendly to yourself and practice, definitely there is an attraction for the other people in the same caliber. So therefore you will not directly or immediately come out and say now it is in the downfall. There is, but still, whenever you find a good person, it's such a happiness in the world because we found something rare. So you get the double positivity whenever you meet such a noble friend. So therefore finding a noble friend is the most important, or otherwise you can say that is 100%. That is everything. So for that you can't put the whole blame on the other side of this thing. You have to take 50% of the blame. If you are not prepared with your virtues, if you are not prepared with your mental health, definitely you will never meet with the good spiritual people. Moment you prepare yourself with the good virtues and mannerism and good health, mental health, definitely you can find a better or more constructive answers. So first and foremost is the most decisive factor regarding towards this discovery of the truth, that is called Satchana Bodha in Pali, is finding a noble friend, finding a virtuous friend. And the moment you find it, you feel so released. But the criterion, as I mentioned in Chanki Sutta, says, check for his desire, hatred and the delusion. With that hatred, with that desire, with that hatred, if he is claiming what he has not seen as I have seen, what he has not experienced, though he says I have experienced, that is you have to be aware of. If it is not so, you can start the journey. And my personal way was, if he is less desirous, if he is having desires less than me, I would select him as a good teacher. If he has the less hatred than me, I will select him as a teacher, or helper, or instructor, or my companion. And if he has the less amount of ignorance than me, I will select it. Rather than going and asking for the perfection, completely freedom from hatred, completely freedom of hatred, desire or ignorance. So therefore you have to be pragmatic and practical. In that sense, we are not completely deprived of this kind of thing. So first and foremost is that the finding such a virtuous person. And once you see it, that is the faith. Once you place it, definitely you feel like going and associating it. So then onward, the Buddha says that after you sort it out the very first stage, says saddha jato upasankamati. Whenever you develop the saddha or faith upon such a person, you feel like going to him. You feel like talking to him or reaching him. That reaching itself is not unfounded, not without a cause. The cause is that very particular scrutiny you have done and you have given a positive mark. Then upasankamati. Upasankamati means you reach him. You don't feel a gap between him. Therefore, whenever the qualities of the good friend is mentioned, it is piyocha garubhavaniyocha. He must have the comely or pleasant outlook. You must not feel any gap between he or him and yourself. So that is how you feel like reaching him. So that is also one of the attributes of a person who has no hatred, no desire and no ignorance. Is an open issue. So you feel like reaching him. Once you reach, you get association. You can see in detail how he is doing in the morning and in the evening, how is the night and how is the daytime, how in front of the people and when he is isolated. So that is how Pairupasana, that means association. And that association, Buddha says, going to give the time to listen to his teaching. At the beginning you are not going and asking, please give me a discourse and I am going to sit under you. No. You just associate him with frequent visiting, and then occasionally you can listen that he is talking to someone or talking to yourself, whatever may be, you happen to listen. That is the only method during the time of the Buddha. The person who knows, preach, others are listening. Nowadays the information technology is much varied and you have a lot of teaching techniques. But at that time, only person to person. So this is the what that make less complications. If you are completely distant from the person, and depending on the books and the videotapes and all the kind of thing, there is no such Pairupasana. That means that association is not there. And listening also not direct. So therefore, if you can have such a direct contact through listening, in our dispensation is called Sravaka. Sravaka means a listener. The Buddha is the teacher and all the others are known as Sravaka. Sravaka means listeners. This is the only method available at that time. All the other methods, so to say the healing methods, magics, all the kind of thing have their due dangers. Nowadays, not only other religious people with the other denominations, even the Buddhists, are so attracted to these healing problems, so attracted to these magics, all the kind of thing, but it never give a full assurance. So therefore the Buddha says these are not a noble way of communicating Dhamma. Noble way of communicating of the truth is the teaching, the preaching and listening. So therefore whenever you are associating someone, you get a chance to listen to him. It is a cause and effect relationship. And once you listen, if such a teaching has any kind of appeal, any kind of addressing to your likings and disliking, that you feel like keeping in your heart, by hearting. You have attraction. You understand this is something special. This is something related to me. This is what I just wanted to clarify, like whenever you give the ear, you listen, and that particular thing goes in deep. That is called dharana. Dharana means that keeping in your heart. not listening from this ear and leaving it aside for the other ear. You keep it. And for that dharana, for that engravement, that faith is necessary. For that is why your desire, your liking, your approval is necessary. For that only that the preacher's respect is necessary. When everything comes into the proper combination, it is not what you do, it is what happens. You feel like keeping that in your mind. And for repetitive recitation, and then you keep it in your mind. And once that such a good formulas, good teaching and points come into being, the mind never keep them in a dumb manner. It scrutinize each other, find a relationship with each other. How this Dhamma is relating with the other one, or how is that morning preaching is connected with the evening preaching, how this teaching connected with his actions and behavior, how the behavior indicates this teaching like attang upaparikkati. That is a kind of endowment in our mind. In the healthy mind, always when we listen and taken into the consideration, we keep on contemplating, deducing, and that happens. And attang uparikkanto dhammanijjhana khamanti. And then only you feel like put into practice and see. These few stages are very, very crucial. In English, we can say trying and striving. As far as we have no particular teacher, as far as we have no particular technique, as far as we have no particular place often to visit, we are always trying. One day this teacher, next day other teacher, this day this method, next day other method. So there is no progress, there is no accumulation of the experience. Once that selected, that we call striving. No more trying. You are not going from the window shopping. We start one person and keep on striving. Then onward only this accumulation happens. Then onward only your experience will be accumulated. Otherwise it's a utter wastage of time. So therefore trying to striving is the first and foremost evolution you experience within this life. In Pali it is called Saddha and Kusala Chanda. Kusala Chanda means something you feel like put into practice. If whatever things you just keep it in your mind and do not put into practice, it's no avail for your experience, towards your evolution, towards your metamorphosis. So the moment you start practicing, then only your personality going to change. Your likings and disliking going to change, because it is happening not like an accident. It's happened due to the number of causes. So once that Dhammanijjhana Kanti, that you make a resolution, you say this is not just coming out of theory, it is just not mere belief, it is not mere liking, it is something profound. Like when the mind selects it, then only this resolute faith, determined faith happens. Till that, the whole our life is such a mess. There is no accumulation, no trend. It is ever without any kind of aim. Once this Kusala Chanda, Sati Chando Jayati, and then only you start striving. Kind of effort you will take. So therefore, even if you wish, if your body and other condition won't allow you to practice something, it is not something arrogance, it is not something unobedient, because the causes has to be aligned, then you can't help but practice. So till that, if you are going to force your children, if you are going to force your parents, if you are going to force your disciples, and it is just utter waste. So it is a kind of a phenomena, not something you can impose upon. Even the virtues in Buddhism we call Sila Sikha, in compared to the other religions it's called the commandments. But in Buddhism we don't have any commandments. These are some kind of virtuous things that learned people appreciate. If you wish, you can impose upon yourself. There is no person behind with a stick to say that if you do not do, I will punish. If you do, I will give the gifts and privileges. No such a thing. So that understanding of this commandment and the virtues, it's something very open and very beautiful, very aesthetic thing. So if it is not happening through you, don't worry, because that your maturity has not come. And if you are really appreciating when and where you feel like become restrained through virtues, it is not you, it is due to the cause. And when it happens, can't help you how to do it. So only thing you can do, for example, if you are in such a situation and you feel like sharing, you have to just show others that you are happy, that's all. You have taken that such kind of a restrainment, and then no, you are happy, you are relaxed. And instead, if you are going to impose upon thinking they are family friends and they are blood related and this is my duty, it is, I would say, the vested interest. That is the crime in the religious circles. So we must not do that kind of thing. We must set an example. According to cause and effect relationship, whenever you develop this resolute faith, can't help you are put into practice. Till that, if you're going to impose, one of the speaker in India, she told, it is like eating sour mangoes. You are not waiting till the mango to come ripen and you are going to eat it at sour level. So your interpretation on mango is completely different. Once it is ripened, it has its own original taste. So you can't do it. You have to let it happen. So that happening is a beautiful thing. It can happen only in the human mind. Because human mind has so much of a vast capacity, but you can't impose upon. You can't expect that kind of thing in the animals or any other realms, because their mind is so limited with these instincts. But our available, but if you do not know if you are going to do in the regimentation, marshalling, it never happens. So therefore, once you experience this Chanda Jata Ussahati, whenever the resolute faith happens, you feel like go and practice, that is not you, that is kind of a phenomenon that you can easily share with others, but if you have to know the art of it. It is not a science. This art is the one today, winning the game. Whatever the people are going to do with the imposement, never lasting long. So therefore, first you have to experience it, and then you can share with your dear and near ones. First of all, most thing is to develop this resolute faith, or determination. After determination, ussahitva tuleti. Once you put, for example, taking the moral restrainment, earlier you used to go for hunting and be happy, now you instead says, take the precept of abstaining from killing. And now we can see, wait and see that while I am going and fishing and hunting, how much was the happiness, and when I am giving when I am restraining from killing, how much is the happiness. And whenever necessary, you may self yourself and misappropriate other properties. Instead, I will make a determination, no, today onward, I will never take anything ungiven, unoffered. So there you can wait and see. And that weighing also, on the economic, political and social issues, you will arrive at a different conclusion. But if you take it from the humanistic ground, your decision will be different. And your measurement will be different. And under such circumstances, the early beginners is facing such a difficulty, because 99% of population is for killing and happiness and eating all the kind of things. But instead you are completely free, take a vow of not to kill and be happy. But you will be definitely minority, not comparatively badly minority. And even then, if you are to maintain this, you must have your own weighing system, value system. Otherwise you will be taken for a wave, and you will be caught up with the present trends. So to avoid the trends and to establish the virtues, You must have your own pros and cons. You must understand the flaws in these trends in the society, and instead the trends that you are going to impose with this religious circle or any kind of good thing you are going to suggest. So therefore your own weighing with the past without restraining and now with restrainment, you have to balance it, and then only you will take one step ahead. That is to say, even 99% of the society are going to reject you, you don't care. Because you have got the person, you have got the truth, and you know you have to go against the grain. Otherwise, no discovery of the truth. You can be just preserving and just wait, but it is just superficial. But if it is to go into your real personality, that you have to have your own way, and then only padahati means real striving, hard going happens. So when it happens, it's a question whether you can do it in the household life, whether you have to renunciate this world. So in my case, I was trying about 8 to 9 years. Earlier I had no any restrainment, so I know the consequences. After, when you become mindful and feel like striving, you are getting that your due experience, and when you are weighing, it's very difficult to live in this society with the normal popularity, with the normal association. So they are one of my, I would say, good teachers. They told, don't tell the others that you are meditating. If you are going to say, I am practicing virtues, I am going to practice concentration, I am going to practice insight meditation, that is, you are asking for troubles. So therefore, keep it to your inner circle. Don't try to tell others, and don't try to show upmanship, telling that I am a virtuous person, I am a concentrated person, I am a person with insight meditation. That is completely going against. So therefore, if you wish, you keep it very humble, keep it to yourself. But whenever you meet such a virtuous circle, you go and discuss and share with them what are the friction and how when the friction happens, what to do and all the kind of thing. No, otherwise you don't recognize, or you don't try to stand out. You just try to value the social system, but you must understand you are not that. But you are not going to hint others, you are not going to preach others, you are not going to convince others. Keep that away, and when you are keep on striving, when and where you selected the middle part, avoiding the middle, avoiding the extremes find in the society, the Buddha says, even your bodily, not only mentally, even the bodily you feel the relaxation. Bodily you feel, now I know the art, how to ride a wave. When the wave happens, if you are learning in the beach, either you have to sink in the water or you have to jump up. Otherwise, the wave will take you. So therefore, the society is full of waves, just like the beach. So it's a game, not to caught up into the waves, but to have a bath. So this world, in that sense, very, very dramatic. If you know this art of maintaining the balance, art of how to deal with vicissitudes of the life. So it is starting with the very small characters, very small incidents, very less intensive emotions and the pains and kind of thing. But each and everyone is putting you up with the resistance, putting you up with the practical ways and means. When you keep on going, you find that fair amount of people in the world, they are trying, they are striving, and you can get connected with them, and their practical hints are very, very valuable. And whenever you understand the small achievements, how to deal with family problems, how to deal with academic problems, how to deal with economic problems, right? When and where it happens, bodily as well as mentally, you come to know the art, the finding the balance. And that is the way the Buddha says that one can discover the truth. just mere, not by the superficial faith, it must be resolute faith. And it is not mere energy, but the balanced energy, not too much, not too less. And the most important in this game, even though it is not mentioned in this book, I am adding from my pocket, mindfulness. Mindfulness is the one give you a completely awareness, choiceless awareness. Even the good happens, even the bad happens, you are just merely observing it. You are merely try to be aware of it without getting shaken, without getting biased to good side or bad side, keeping balance. But our society almost come and say, you must be definitely good and you must avoid the bad. That means they are pushing us into the one corner. The Buddha is very boldly inviting, observe the good as well as bad without committing, without arrive at a decision, and that is the human right, that is your right, you have it. So no one can come and say, you have to go and give your vote to the right side and you must avoid the bad. So they can suggest, but it is our duty whether we are going to do it or not. So once you develop the mindfulness, for example, the teachers may come and say, okay, sit and look at your breath and come and tell me what is happening. So definitely your mind expecting a very cross breath. Whenever the breath becomes subtle, it says it is bad. And you expect the breath only at the nostrils, and whenever you are going to feel some other places in the body, your mind comes and says, it is wrong, it is bad, it is a wastage of time. And sometimes the breath appears somewhere else. And there also your mind, representing the social situation, come and complain, saying it is discouraging, my mind is not here, it is running up and down. But the Buddha says, if you are to claim, to say that I have seen the breath, you have to see all the facets. Each and every facet has the equal value. If you are going to have a value judgment about the breath, that means you are always appreciating your past perceptions, not you are ready for the new things. Exactly the truth when you are doing in the walking meditation, when you are doing in the day-to-day activities, it is our mind expect only the correct thing, only the good things, only the progress. But there is no such a thing in the world. The progress means if you know how much is the negative aspect and not to be shaken by the negative, that is the progress. Not with the normal common sense. So in the family affairs, or in the day-to-day activities, or in meditation, your mind going to reach all the unconscious parts, explored parts in the equal weight, specifically at the experimental level. And when you find that it is really nourishing you, increasing your scope, increasing your range, then your experimenting idea is ever developing, and you will be just like a scout. You will be knowing the art of improvisation and impromptu adjustment, and to balance, how to make the balance. So this way, each and every difficulty become a question paper. If you correctly answer it, you will be promoted. When there is no question paper, means no progress. So that is how you try to answer your own questions through Dhamma. So therefore the Buddha says, this is the way of the Satchanubodha, which has been preserved as precious Dhamma, but now it is put into practice. But even then, the Buddha says, you are not Satchanupatti, you are not fully enlightened. So then, its remaining question is, with this art, how one can go into the fully enlightenment or in the highest goal. So verily, this particular carpenter is very happy with this presentation. He says, okay Bhante, you have taught me how to achieve the Satchanubodha, how to live up to the Satchanubodha, but to learn, but you say it is not enough. You have to have the full enlightenment or full understanding, full comprehension, how to reach this full enlightenment. So I hope taking this subject for tomorrow, and today basically I took time to deal with this Satchan Bodha, that is how to discover or how to taste the Dhamma, or in the sense, in the common sense, how to practice, how to get results in this very life. So therefore I think, though it is not much related with the meditation experience, instructions, and even though it is not much dealing with the subject of mindfulness, I thought this will be a good body of knowledge, will helpful in the theoretical level, not to take the wrong paths and not to run by the results, but to keep the endurance, keep the striving on. And if your objectives, in the sense perspectives or your view, if it is correct, never it go in waste. And if it is wrong, whatever the superb techniques you are going to do, not assuring any results. So only the only way to correct your career view is do a trial and error method. There is no other method. So there is no one can come and bliss you, no one can come and give you any magic formula, no one come and tell you that these are the materialities necessary. They are just, they are nothing but just words. So that your very striving is going to give a first-hand experience. So therefore, once you take the subject of meditation, while keeping on practicing, there are a lot of internal and external difficulties and frictions happen. So they are, whatever may be, refer back to your view. Am I correcting or straightening my view by these difficulties, or I am escaping? Our mind is so crafty to find escapism. So that is just self-cheating, and the others also get cheated and you wastage of time. But in Vipassana, in insight meditation, it is from the beginning you have to really understand there is no escapism. This is just facing the truth, just facing the phenomena as and when it arises. And if you are facing the end result, whether you are winning or not, is immaterial. Your immunity, your resistance will ever developing. That is how you discover, that is how you taste the truth of Dhamma. So that is, in that way, the Buddha is not just a mere religious master, but is presenting in such a scientific way and such a profound way. So therefore, even if you are not practicing, by listening to them and getting the theory knowledge itself is kind of a taste. And when you are going further and contemplating, enormous kind of an invitation, but the best you get once you put into practice only. Therefore, the best of the taste of the Dhamma, what the Buddha taught, tasting only by the practitioners. Not even even before the final achievement, the way justify the end. So if you are feeling like that, please take into grant you are on the correct path. There is no other way to assure that you are really in the correct path or wrong path. So that is what the whole message today. So thank you very much for listening. We have taken about 1 hour and 20 minutes for today's talk. We will say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. If you have any questions or any remarks or anything to tell about, welcome. We have another 10 minutes. And if it is not so, traditionally we will share the merits with the seen and unseen beings as our relatives, and straightening our objectives and finish the day's session. If you have any question, please come out. Okay, no questions, so therefore we will chant together the stanzas starting from Ittavata Chammehi and then mark the end of the today's session. Ittavata Chammehi Samphatam Punya Sampadang Sabbi Diva Namodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya. Ittavata Chammehi Samphatam Punya Sampadang Sabbi Bhuta Sabba Sampatti Siddhya. Ittavata Chammehi Samphatam Punya Sampadang Sabbi Satta Namodantu Akasattha Chubummatta Divanaga Mahitika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkantu Sasanam. Akasattha Chubummatta Divanaga Mahitika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkantu Desanam. Akasattha Chubummatta Divanaga Mahitika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkantu Mang Parang. Idang vo nyati nang hotu sukhita hontu nyatiyo. Idang vo nyati nang hotu sukhita hontu nyatiyo. Idang vo nyati nang hotu sukhita hontu nyatiyo. Imina punya kammene mame bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammene mame bala samagamo. Samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammene mame bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Idam me punya kammang asavakkaya vaham hotu sabba dukkha pamuccatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.